We have a problem. Junior is a Republican.
Republican?
Yes!
No!
Yes!
No!
Yes!
No!
Yes!
We don't do that, Dre! We are compassionate liberals who believe in tolerance, acceptance, open...
Yeah, whatever, but we're black, all right? That's all that matters. We're black.
Welcome. You are listening to the Invisible Black Elephants podcast, where we discuss politics, faith, family, and other conservative principles from an African American perspective. We are turning the current GOP back to the Party of Lincoln, one show at a time.
Black Republicans, yes, they do exist.
What's up, people? This is Elder J, rocking with you at the Invisible Black Elephants podcast, and we are here with a special guest, Talessia Martin, with Street Politics with Talessia. She is one of my favorite YouTubers, actually, and I am excited to actually finally get a chance to have a conversation with her. So, Talessia, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet everybody. Well, not
Sweet.
meet you.
Finally get to talk to you, right? Now she is having a time now. She's blowing up, so I wanted to get her before she became super famous. And so, she can remember us when she,
Right.
I can say I was one of the ones right at her turning point. 2020 is about to be her year. We're not going to be able to get her soon. So I'm super happy for her. I am proud of you. I actually found you after the first YBLS, actually. I was checking out all the Black conservatives who was putting up lives and stuff like that during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody was sitting next to you or something like that and was like with a camera. I think it might have been Uber guy. And he was just like, "What's up? Say hello. What's up? This is my girl right here." And you said your name and you said Street Politics with Talessia. And I was like, everybody who was saying their stuff, I was looking them up and following them. So I've been following you since then.
Thank you.
I was like, yo, this is real cool. She's like super down to earth and super real. And so I always knew that if I had a good opportunity to talk with you, I wanted to have that conversation. One of the things that people, they have a idea of, first of all, it's hard to find Black conservatives, but when people do find them, I think people have a cookie cutter idea of what a Black conservative is and what they look like. And so part of my job is to show the diversity of Black conservatives. We don't all look like Carlton Banks and we don't all talk like Candace Owens, but there's a bunch of us and we have different thoughts. So I wanted to talk to you about what's it like, your journey into being a conservative. Have you always been a conservative?
No, it was just like I started really being into politics when Donald Trump was running, because it was interesting and fascinating. But at the time, I always have voted Democrat. That's just how we was raised, vote Democrat. Republicans are for the rich white folks and Democrats are for the poor Black folks. They're the ones that help you. So I didn't even know it was like a conservative liberal thing, because like I said, I wasn't into politics. I didn't realize none of that till afterwards. So when I was seeing how the stuff was going with Donald Trump, then I started looking up the party and then looking up what is a liberal, what is a conservative. And then I had all my views are all conservative. It's nothing like Democrat, which I have been voting all my life. And that's when I switched over.
So isn't it interesting? No matter who I talk with, and even myself, we all have this idea that like you said Democrats are for the people, the common people, and the Republicans are only for the rich white people.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? How do you think that we got that image? Where do you think that comes from?
Seeing the party, but then you have the Democratic Party too. There's a lot of them that's not broke. They're filthy rich too, but their policies is to keep to me is to keep you down, not wanting to succeed. And that's the difference from Republican. Like, they all about, getting yourself together, being financial on your own, building you an empire and becoming successful. You know what I'm saying? And not too much, don't depend on the government unless you really, really need it. Because, sometimes people do fall on hard times and you will have to use food assistance or different stuff like that. That's different, but don't keep yourself in that same mindset. And to me, I just believe Democrats keep people, and the policies that they make, they keep people in that same mindset and that same I'm a victim versus being a victor.
That's absolutely true. I kind of look at it always like that. You go back that old saying that you can give a man a fish or you can teach a man a fish. And I think like Democrats are like, give a man a fish. Well, if you always give them a fish, they always have to keep coming to you. But when you teach a man to fish, then, they come to you, you teach us. And then after that, we don't need you anymore. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I kind of see the Republicans like that. But it's interesting, even to how you said, it's not like Republicans aren't for poor people when it comes to people who fall on hard times, people who are handicapped, people who are disabled, elderly, stuff like that. We're more so, if you have the ability to make it happen, make it happen. And for me, I think it's a marketing issue. One thing I can say about the Democrats, as much as some of the stuff they do get on my nerves, I will respect their branding and their marketing because they
cold at it.
They're the best.
They like Trump with Twitter.
Exactly.
You know how Trump bypassed media, like he controls the narrative. And that's how Democrats is, their ads, their policies. And this is like years of constantly of the same thing. Oh, and they fear mongers. They like to push fear on you. Oh, you don't want that Republican in there. He's going to take your health care. He's going to take you off welfare. And for those that have the mindset that have been on, especially able-bodied welfare recipients, they're the ones that's really upset because they're not planning on getting off welfare. They're not trying to get off welfare. I know some people have been on welfare all their life and ain't never had a job.
I know the same people. I know people just like that. And if you grew up in it's not always the hood, but if you grew up in any urban area where a lot of this goes on, you've seen it. And people act like, there's one thing with black folk is just like, it's like we don't like to air our dirty laundry out to everybody. But everybody knows. If you said that and we weren't talking in the realm of politics, everybody would agree with you. As soon as it comes to politics, everybody's like, oh, no, it's nothing like that. It's never like that. It's like, come on, cut it out.
I grew up in the projects. You can't tell me something I lived through all my life and witnessed with my own two eyes.
Right.
Not just saying it's just people, it's people in urban, like you said, urban and poor communities, period. Like, I take the race up out of it because I was, like I said, grew up in the projects with white folks, Puerto Ricans, all kind of different
ethnic background.
People with all kind of backgrounds. Yeah. So it's just like, so you can't, I don't make it as a black issue because not all black people live, because you have some poor white communities in their neighborhoods as well as black people. But it's just the same mindset. Like, you don't ever want to grow. And then they give you policies that if you try to grow, they snatch it from you when you're still in the process of building. Just like getting food stamps or getting Section 8. You can only make a certain amount of money once you go over that. Say if you just started this job and you over the time frame from how much you're supposed to make, they kick you off. And it's like, how is that bettering me? How you want me to succeed and you telling me that out this 4-family household, I can make only $35,000 a year if I want to keep this assistance? Like, how is that helping anybody succeed?
Right. And it's like, you may get a raise and it's only 37. $12,000 a year. That's not that much more. You only made a couple more $1,000 a year. It's not like you jumped up to 50 and it's automatically kicking you off. So some people have to weigh the option of, you know what, it might be better if I work less hours and stay with this assistance than to, you know, get off of that assistance and then try to build from there. And it kind of puts you, it's a trap. It's kind of a trap.
Right.
Now, let me ask you this. You said you weren't a Republican. Are you a Republican or are you actually an independent, like registered?
I'm a registered Republican.
What?
Like I had a talk with one of my great friends, and she like, listen, you can't look. You got to pick a position and stand strong in it. Independent, in our opinion, was like the easy way out. So you can't say I'm this and I can just stand the ground. That's just my opinion. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. The party, I like the values and what they stand for. So yes, I'm a Republican, and of course I'm a conservative.
That's very interesting. A lot of people today are actually, for a long time, people have been going on the independent bandwagon, because it's like, even though like people will say, and it was always like something that people would just throw out of nowhere, right? So you'll be, if you talked about being Democrat or Republican, you knew you always voted Democrat, yet you were registered as an independent. And when somebody talked about it, it was like, well, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm independent. Not really. You're just registered independent, but you're always voting Democrat. For me, it's like, if you know 90% of the time you're going to vote for a Democrat, then you might as well register Democrat. If you're going to vote that way, if you know, seeing the policies now that you know, you
Right.
see where the Democrats are going, you know you're not going to vote that way, vote for a Republican. And it doesn't actually matter. You can be a Republican, and then let's say at the local level, when it comes voting time, you can still vote for a Democrat. It doesn't matter. But if you know that 90% of the time, say that again.
Go ahead. I mean, you can vote for anybody. That's just your party affiliation. I tell people, it don't matter what you is, you vote on the candidate. But I can't see me doing no, the way these Democrats out here running around, I'm sorry, they can't get my vote. They had enough of my vote, and I'm done with them. But the other girl that me and her had a conversation, Sunny Johnson, she been a conservative.
I love
She
Sunny.
been in the game. She been in the game way before anybody thought they wanted to be a conservative. And you know what I'm saying? Got a nice a radio station with people that they say racist at the, you know what I'm saying? Breitbart. You wouldn't think that Breitbart got a black lady running her own show on, you know what I'm saying? But they just gonna promote them as being racist. And that was a conversation that me and her had. She was like, you are a Republican. If you don't like what you see on a Republican on the level in your city, you change it. So I've joined the Republican committee here. I'm about to be doing stuff here. You know what I'm saying? You can't, if I want to be a Republican and I know their outreach with the Black community is horrible, I know these things. So now that I'm joining and I'm a part of it, I can change what's going on here in my city. I can't group you know what I'm saying? If you have to change it or just sit back and be a victim.
Yeah, when I have conversations with people, I tell people like this, because everybody's like, well, it's not like the Republicans are perfect. And it's like, well, no, we're not saying that the Republicans are perfect. I don't believe the Republicans are perfect at all. I kind of give an analogy when I talk to people. I say, think about if you were an investor with real estate, right? You have an option of, you got a house that's in a bad area, isn't really going to give you a whole lot of money back, but it actually looks kind of nice on the outside. But when you start looking at it, the foundation is kind of messed up. It looks pretty, but there's a lot of structural damage that's going to cost you a lot of money in the long run. And overall, it's going to cost you something. But then you have another place that's looks kind of run down on the outside, but structurally it's intact. Foundation is great. It's in a great area, but it may need a little bit of cosmetic work. It may need some more paint, may need some more, update the kitchen or something like that. And by the time you do that, you get a great return on your investment. I kind of see that like the parties, right? The Republican Party is not perfect. It looks kind of ugly, but it has a great foundation It's in a great location, and it's a good return on your investment if you can fix it up, right? And so I say I rather invest in that and fix it up than trying to turn the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party is going in a way that is not working for most people. I mean, it's going to produce just what you see. California and different places like that, where you see a bunch of homeless people. You see a whole bunch of people. It seems like it's a wider gap. You get a bunch of rich people, and then you start seeing an increasingly growing population of poor people. And it doesn't, and a lot of times, Black folk, we just happen to end up in that bottom side a lot of the times more than other groups. So let me ask you this. You said you weren't always a Democrat and you became a Republican.
I was always a Democrat.
I mean, you were always a Democrat originally.
Mm-hmm.
Then as you realized and you started studying the parties and stuff like that, you started to realize that the values that the Republicans had were closely aligned with your values that you already held to. But let me ask you this: since becoming a conservative, has your life changed at all? Like, has your thought process or how you operate?
I mean, my thought process has changed because I don't have that liberal mentality when I'm looking at stuff. Because even when Donald Trump was running, like before he was running, I was a huge fan of him. Mm-hmm. Very huge fan. Everybody in the hood we would say, we're going to get that Trump money, different stuff like that. Always been a fan. But I let the liberal media convince me to turn against somebody I liked all my life. And it was like, and I just go back and think, like, how did I get in that mindset, like that mind control, just like that? It's like the narrative that they have been pushing so strong on social media and TV, it convinced me. And then when I seen how the feds and stuff was doing him, that's what really woke me up, when I seen how the Fed was doing him. Because I'm like, this is what they do in the Black community. Wait a minute.
Yes.
This is exactly what they do in the Black community. That's what really woke me up to the party when that happened, because I was still like, oh my God, he you know what I'm saying? Talking about uninformed, like just a straight, for you wouldn't even think I have a college degree or education, how uninformed I was acting and talking with the same talking point. So once I realized that, because I was following Donald Trump on Twitter, then he had retweeted Diamond and Silk. So, everybody was going at them for them being Black Trump supporters. So I used to watch their show and I used to be like, y'all telling these lies. I never even knew nothing about the the Democratic Party being a party of slavery and all these things they was saying. Like, I'm going against them, arguing up on the thing. Like, this ain't true. But then when I did my research, like, everything was so true. But even if it's some of it might be a little stretch, but for the main idea, everything was true. And then I realized policies, like, how can y'all be for the poor? Y'all want to keep the people poor. And they filthy rich. You got Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders telling you to hate millionaires, and they millionaires. They want you to hate who they are. Like, I don't understand that.
This makes no sense to me. When I have conversations with people, I'm around Black people a lot. So it's not just Black people that have this thought. But so when I'm talking to Black folk, it's not that I'm only just bringing out the fact that it's Black people. It's just that those are the people I talk to because I'm around Black people all the time. Mm. When they talk about, they start talking about millionaires and billionaires and these guys. And what I like to do is always turn it on. I say, why should Tyler Perry be punished because he made it? Why should I look at Oprah negative because she has a whole bunch of money?
They work for that.
Right. But a lot of people start switching up when you actually put a face. When you put a face on it that they like, then they're like, oh, well, I'm not saying. And I'm like, they worked hard for that. They didn't, Tyler Perry and Oprah, they're not running around robbing people until they got $1 million. That's not what happened. I mean, I order from Amazon a couple times a week. That man deserves to be a billionaire. How many of us do that, right? I don't understand the thought process going there, but I think it's kind of like they're playing on the emotion of people who are maybe middle to lower class or people who are struggling financially. When you point the finger at people who seem to have it all, it kind of gives you somebody to blame your problems on. Explain to me, now you said they had you convinced that Trump was a certain kind of way. So did you turn around before the election or after the election? Did you actually vote for Trump or?
No, I voted for Hillary. God, please forgive me. So it was afterward. If I could go back and take my vote back from her, I swear to God, I would.
Oh my God. So you were, so they had you all the way up. And so you didn't realize it until once they started doing the investigations and this is so crazy because you are.
I watched how it was with how they didn't even give him a chance when he came down the escalators. So when I started realizing stuff, I'm like, this was all a setup from the beginning. And then now he's in office and it's just like they still at it. Like when he got inaugurated, y'all didn't say, okay, I know this was a dirty campaign. So it was a dirty campaign on both sides. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just Trump. It was. So you would think they would come together, but it's like, no, they put their hats on. You got FBI agents texting each other, talking about they're about to take the man down. I'm like, this is what they do. And I constantly say it. And you notice I never get no backlash when I say that, because it's like, you can't tell me something I seen when the feds come in our community. Say if somebody got caught with some drugs, but it's somebody else in the community they get about 50 people to say that they did this and they did that. Just never. I got a friend just got out on Trump first step back. They wanted him, so they gathered up a few of these people to come testify him. They never caught him with any drugs. They never seen him selling any drugs. They just had people coming and saying that they know that he sell drugs. Gave him 25 years. He did 14 and I think he did like 14 and got out on the first step back.
Wow. And that's, you were the first one to actually say it like that I heard. And I was like, that is so true. Mm-hmm. They started talking to Cohen and saying, we're going to lock you up if you're doing this. And all of a sudden everybody starts snitching and everybody's like, see. And I'm like, this is how they do us all the time. What are you talking about? This is stuff that you guys complain about.
Like, y'all let these people convince you, like, how you let somebody convince you to make up anything? You don't even, like, it's just, this is the fear when them people come in your face, talk about 10, 15 years, you get to saying anything.
You better believe it.
And everybody's that's why you have a lawyer. Y'all want to go running these people's faces without any type of legal assistance, and then y'all get jammed up just like that. And that's exactly what happened to him. He was an outsider. You having an outsider come in to know, that's going to know their dirty game and their dirty works. Because all he's doing is exposing them for who they are. All the kickbacks, all the kids getting on boards for $80,000 a month. All that's is out in the open now. Because he got money. He not a career politician. So he really trying to actually see the country grow. And you got to keep certain stuff going. That's why we've been in war since 9/11. People talking about we going to war. We never left. We've been there since 18, 19 years we've been there. Mm-hmm. 19, about to be 20 years this year. We have been, 19, because my son 19. We've been in war. Why are we over there? Because a lot of these politicians, in my opinion, has dirty deeds in some of these countries, and that's their ties to have this stuff coming home. But you got Donald Trump saying, no, we coming home, we pulling out, let these people deal with their own, and let's get our country together. And they mad. We not the policemen for the world. Let these people do what they gonna do over there. Y'all ain't gonna let them come over here and tell America what we gonna do.
Right.
Stay out these people's business, but a lot of them got ties. They talk about Russia, but Hillary, all y'all was getting paid to speak over there. Y'all was getting, it's just my going, and I don't know.
No, it's crazy because it's like, a lot of people are like, Jay, you drank the Kool-Aid. And I'm like, for me, it feels like I stepped out of the Matrix. Like I can see clearly now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying Donald Trump is the most polished guy out there, right? And there's some things he says that you're like, oh man, I wish you would have said it differently. Because I know, because you already know, I believe 90% of the media is working for the Democrat Party, right? Mm-hmm. And so, no matter whatever somebody says on the right, 90% of the media is going to try to twist it. The problem with Trump is because he just talks regular, it's easy for them to twist him up. You know what I mean? Like politicians are, career politicians are used to talking.
They know how to work.
Yeah, they talk like, even with Obama, like he used to talk like, and that because he's like thinking as he's talking. You know what I'm saying? Like, with Donald Trump, he's just like, what? Get out of here. He's like, whatever. And if you say something to him, he's going to blast you. And people aren't used to that kind of thing. Mm-mm. I can respect a president that does that.
Yeah, I like you, who you are. I don't want you to come in my face as a fake politician, then you one way in my face. Donald Trump, you getting everything you getting with him. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is nothing. He's not going to. When I was at the White House, he went off the teleprompter about 50 times. Like, he want to say what he want to say. He don't like the script stuff. So that's why he do his things at his rallies.
They let y'all black folk in the White House?
Yeah. I
thought only white people was allowed in.
Obama invited stars and athletes. Like, we weren't getting no average people in the White House, and I got invited twice.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this. In your conversations with people, how much is it, because I believe all politics starts locally, and a lot of the things that Donald Trump is doing, like now, besides like if he gets us entangled in some kind of war, and I'm not just saying Donald Trump, I'm just saying a president, period. A president can get us entangled in war. They can do things like with taxes. They have the ability to create a good environment for the economy and stuff like that. Outside of that, though, when it trickles down to everybody's everyday life, it's really the local politicians that matter. When you're having a conversation to people, and so you said you were going to you join your local GOP committee or something like that. So you're going to be trying to do some kind of outreach and stuff like that. Do you think because of are you still in Cleveland?
Mm-hmm. Cleveland.
Okay. So knowing the demographic of Cleveland, do you think people will be able to, there's a lot of people that's going to not like Trump, and then there's going to be people who just are like, my vote doesn't matter, who cares, right? You're going to get a lot of those kind of people. Do you think your support of Donald Trump is going to be a hindrance for you to actually do that outreach?
No, everybody in my hood and everybody in Cleveland, Ohio, from Atlanta, know I support Trump. They know that off top. Like, I'm not one of the ones in the closet. Everybody in my hood, they all know I support Trump and everything. I tell them about the local different stuff that's going on. Just like we having something about getting pardon. The governor liaison is coming here. They're not going to promote that because the governor is a Republican. And but this is mainly to help a lot of people. So you know what I'm saying? I gave them that. A lot of them really don't. In Cleveland, I can only talk about Cleveland. Mm-hmm. They don't really care. A lot of them like Trump. Most of them like Trump. Some people say they just don't like the way he talks, but we understand we like his policy. We like what he's saying about welfare. That's how they is. And a lot of them like Trump. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Trump is going to be the first Republican white man that's going to get a lot of black vote. A lot of black votes. Because everybody is paying attention. You even have kids paying attention. I even overheard my sons down there talking about the war and stuff, even though some of them off of what they saying, but people are paying attention. Like, this is going to be the biggest election of all time.
This is definitely going to be
get a lot of the black vote. You have a lot of coalitions that's not even affiliated with him, but it's like these people running their own Latinos for Trump, Black for Trumps in their community. You know what I'm saying? It's like small pockets all over.
Now, see,
we've never had a Republican president ever address the Black community. This is the first president ever.
Directly.
Directly. He didn't say Americans, we all American. No, Black folks. Then he told them in the beginning, what the hell do you have to lose? And it was like blunt and real though.
The media tried to make that statement there an offensive statement. And I'm like, how is that offensive? He's telling the truth. He's looking at the stats in a lot of these communities, like your community, Cleveland, like Baltimore and Chicago and other areas like that, St. Louis. And he's looking at all the stats, the education, the dropout rates, the crime rates, and all of these things like that. So him saying, what do you have to lose, is that wasn't an offensive statement to me. I wasn't a Trump supporter. I didn't vote for him or anything like that, but I didn't get offended at what he said. I was like, well, I mean, he ain't lying. You know what I mean? But they spun that thing like it was something racist. And I was like, I don't understand that.
Because the left is good with painting anything coming from a white person as racist. They can't say or do anything. It's automatically racist. Like the race card is their favorite card. Like that's their favorite card to pull out. And if they can convince you that somebody's a racist, it just goes along and push the narrative even more.
And that's one of my problems now, because racism doesn't even mean anything anymore. Like for me, when I hear racism now, it's like, whatever. It's like, come on.
They have watered racism down. Like I tell people, I said I grew up in the hood, in the midst of the jungle in Cleveland, Ohio. And we had mostly like white cops and you know what I'm saying, people like that. You had about one or two bad out of there, but the rest of them, they was good. Like I probably had a racist encounter like twice in my life. Two people called me the N-word. I was arguing with two guys. Road rage was one, and the other one was at the mall. Like, and I tell people I have two sons. I have not to this day made them think anything bad about police officers and white people. I never did that talk with them. I always told my kids to respect your elders, and I never addressed them with race. And people like, you have two black sons? I said, yeah, and they doing fine. I have one that acts a fool. I have one that's in the United States Navy.
One that acts a fool.
And they both brave. Yeah, I mean, he's starting to turn his life around because he's seeing that this ain't what you want. This ain't the life you want to live, and you ain't got to live that life. You have both of your parents actively involved in your life. So he coming around, but you know, sometimes you go do that with kids. I just had one child that thought he wanted to do some stuff. But then I have another one, but I never raised them on hating white people or hating the white man, or the white man is keeping you down, or don't trust the police. They already know, well, any police, respect anybody.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Respect anybody.
Everybody needs
respect all law enforcement. Let your mama and your father deal with it if it get out of. Don't ever take any situation like that's how I raise my kids. My kids ain't raised off of, because if I constantly tell you, don't look at that house down the street, that blue house down the street, they got a big dog, it's gonna bite you. If I keep telling you that every time you see that blue house, what you gonna do? You're gonna be afraid. You're gonna walk it. The fear gonna come upon you because that's what you taught. So if I teach my kids about to hate the police, when they see the police, it's gonna be a disconnect. And people don't understand that. And people need to understand there's bad people in all positions. You're gonna have bad people in all positions because that's just life. But I never raised them like that. And I never will raise them like that.
So let me talk to you about this. What policies has this president done that personally for you? Now everybody has the, oh, he did this, he did the rundown, right? But personally for you, if somebody was to say, give me, top policy that Donald Trump has done that has you like, that is amazing, what would you say that is? Well,
first, of course, would be the criminal justice reform on the federal level. And I heard they're working on some stuff with the state level because, a a lot of people just in jail for a long amount of time I can murder somebody and come home quicker than somebody that sold some drugs in the feds. And that's just unrealistic. Like, okay, I know you did something bad and yes, you do have to go to jail, but I don't think somebody should be going to jail for 20 years. I like the urban revitalization, the money that he's dumping off into urban communities. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff that's about to be in the work with that, like helping these people be business owner, be entrepreneurs, and here go to capital, here go to grants, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. I like that he's not giving us hand downs, he's giving us hand up. All his policies to me is to make you survive and succeed, even with the tax cut. I'm not a millionaire yet. I'm going to be one. I don't want the government taking all I worked hard for this.
That's right.
I don't really give the government anything, but I work for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do y'all got to take all my money? So those are things that I like, but I also tell people, like, y'all got to understand the president is on a federal level. You cannot say what all he have done. If you got to ask me what about my councilman, my mayor, people like that directly controls these neighborhoods. I think people get that misconstrued with a president.
They definitely do. When there was a meme that people sent out, and it looked like it was like the hood with Clinton, the hood with Bush, the hood with Obama, the hood with Trump, and they had the same picture in all the different photos.
Yes,
and somebody was talking to me on the street about that, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. I said, the president's changed. I said, but I guarantee the party in that hood didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all looking at the wrong thing. The president's changed, but if you look in those hoods, guarantee it's the same party since Bill Clinton and now to Trump. It's the same party that's running it. Mm-hmm. So y'all looking at the wrong thing. You got to look locally and start kicking some of these people out. But like you said, a lot of those things that they're doing is actually to help you up. And again, teaching you how to fish so that once you start to make your money on your own, you're not looking at the government did this, you know what I mean? And having to rely on the government for what you actually have. Now, you said the Criminal Justice Act, and I think that was huge. That's actually one of the things that actually got me to stop liking Obama. So I became a conservative in 2010, and I heard Obama talking about criminal justice when he was running. And that's when I first started getting into politics, when I figured we might have a black president. And he was talking about criminal justice reform, and I thought that's what one of his first things he was going to do, because that directly affected black people when he got in, and he didn't. And that just made me
don't get 2 terms. If you mention anything, but see, if you ain't got that much pull behind, you know what I'm saying? Trump got Trump supporters that ain't going nowhere. They don't give a damn what happens. But you got Obama put in place by puppets like Oprah and all them. He was a controlled president. He did for Hollywood and gays. He didn't do for anybody else. He didn't do anything. They said, well, he gave everybody access to health care. I said, people in the projects get welfare insurance, so you could miss me with that. We ain't got nothing to do with that health care bill. We own care stores, Alliance, welfare insurance down here. That didn't affect the black community. We all on welfare insurance. I'm saying we just abroad, but
broad term. Yeah, I got you.
Or on welfare. So it's just like he didn't do nothing for Chicago. Now that you out of office and you getting $1 million book deals, you don't think you should go to Chicago and probably start like a school or do something in there? You ain't doing that. You got you a vineyard for how much the house cost? $14 million.
It was some kind of $1 billion house.
It was a whole bunch. You know what I'm saying? You still ain't doing nothing for the black community. We should have realized he wasn't gonna do nothing for the black community when he had Joe Biden as his vice president.
Well, that was
I know
wifo
about Joe Biden passed with creating this crime bill, Obama would have never got my vote. But see, we were so misled. The thing, what it is with us black folks, we didn't care. All we do, we about to get this black man in the White House. I never knew none of Obama policy.
But I don't think a lot of us, I like to call it, a lot of us were direct deposit Democrat, right? So just like you get paid every 2 weeks, you don't even think about it if you have a job and then you have a direct deposit set up, your money just go there, right? It's kind of like when it's voting time, you just hit D. Like you're not really actually paying attention to policy. Like, Bill Clinton, who, pushed for and passed this thing, and Joe Biden, who was responsible for primary writing the crime bill. At the time, Bill Clinton, and even still today, Bill Clinton is invited to the cookout. Like, everybody loved him.
Everybody got a cousin doing 50 years because of him.
Right. But he's still invited to the cookout. When there's a prominent black person that passes away, you got Bill Clinton sitting right there at the church on stage, you know what I mean, with all the other people. Matter of fact, when we talked about Tyler Perry, when he had his little opening and everything like that, Bill Clinton and the Clintons were right there at the opening with Tyler Perry and them. We didn't think about policy at that time. I watched the movie, remember Netflix brought that movie out, The 13th, talking about the 13th Amendment. Did you ever see that?
I don't be liking watching all that crap. They always want to bring the slave movies up that crap out around election time. That's another thing the Democrat Party is good. They're good at fear. And you notice around election times, or basically around election time, they come out with these movies. Let me remind y'all, with the white man, ain't none of us never been slaves. Your grandmama wasn't a slave. Your great grandmama wasn't a slave. Like, come on now.
Well, that's what they did when they did this.
The movie coming out right around November. Watch.
They did that with right after Trump was elected. They said it was talking about how the prison system was going, right? And they had all this, and you know how when you got watching documentaries, how the music is all nefarious, and then when it got to Clinton, they changed the music up. It was all soft, and they were talking about how he apologized for what he did recently and all of this and all that, and showing that he locked up, hit the numbers in prison skyrocketed. And then when it came to Donald Trump, because he had just won the election, but he hadn't been inaugurated, they turned the music back down, and what is he going to do? He's going to end up locking up all of us again. And it just was like, oh my God, scaring everybody. This president's going to do whatever. And he is the one that happens to be pushing forth the crime bill. I mean, the criminal justice reform, which is like, you can't make this stuff up. Now, let me ask you a real quick question, because I heard your testimony. You yourself had a situation where you were in jail a couple of times, right? How did you, what happened with you, and how did your life turn around? I was
what a street term is called a booster. And I used to go steal clothes and sell it at street market value. I mean, sell it at black market value, half off of what it is. So I did that for a very, very long time. Then I got sick of it. You know what I'm saying? Me being in and out of prison, it just took a toll on me to the point I'm like, okay, that's enough. I had enough of this run. I'm over it. And then the last time I was in jail, the judge that was the last person that ever sentenced me on anything, he gave me a chance. So, I look at it like he gave you a chance when 9 times out of 10, I know I would have been locked up from any other judge. So, take this opportunity, make the best of it. I started a nonprofit to help people. I did do community stuff in my neighborhood where I grew up at. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And so I see you have been, and you, like you said, you've been promoting a lot of stuff with that, knowing, giving your history, seeing what the president is doing, and also you paying attention locally to what your state is doing. I didn't tell you this, but I pay attention to Ohio because Ohio is where my mother's side of the family lives. Mm-hmm. And so there are certain states, I count them as my family states. So Ohio is where my mother's side of the family is. So I pay attention to things that go on in Ohio. And Virginia is on my dad's side of the family. So I'm like, oh my God, my dad's side of the family, I'm like praying for them because Virginia is going crazy right now. But I pay attention to those states. So, when I get a chance to see like your governor talk and different initiatives that's going on out there, I like to pay attention. And So are you going to be getting involved and trying to get people to understand this thing that they're doing with the, I think what are they, expunging records or giving pardons or doing some stuff out there? They're doing pardons.
Yeah, because I actually got a chance to meet the person that works directly under the governor. He's a pastor. I met him at a Republican event I was at, and when he was telling everybody about the pardon programs, I never heard that this was even going on in Ohio. Me and him exchanged numbers, and they want me to help work with them to get the word out, host events and everything. We actually have an event coming up on the 20th on Martin Luther King birthday about telling everybody about the pardon program and different stuff, how you can get your record pardoned.
That's awesome. When a lot of people, when Donald Trump did the criminal justice reform thing, they were like, to downplay it, it was like, oh, well, that's just federal. Well, first of all presidents, that's all they can deal with is the federal, right? So you can't downplay it. He did something, but also what they do, it has influence on what happens at the state level. And here you have a Republican governor and these Republican led, now I'm sure some of this is bipartisan, but you have, some Republican led initiatives going on and people aren't even highlighting this. I'm thinking, hey guys, the media, isn't this a good thing? Why aren't we highlighting this? Do you think conservatives are just blowing things out of proportion when we say that there's a media bias?
The media is the biggest propaganda machine. I knew they was a propaganda machine even before I even became a Trump supporter. Like the narrative they push, and especially on Black people. Say if a Black guy get killed, they say somebody got killed over here, they bring up his mugshot. This man just got killed. What his mugshot got to do with that? The media been off the chain. Everything. I'm just glad Trump was to bring it on a national level. But we've been saying that about the media. The media been corrupt. CNN want to act like they for the Black people, but I'll never forget how they did with Trayvon Martin. Because, back then when I actually liked it watching CNN because they would have big high profile cases that was going to court and they'd do that. Like now there's just 24-hour Trump. But the way they did Trayvon Martin, the way they painted him, I'm just CNN. But now y'all supposed to be for the people. Like, get out of here. I'll never forget how y'all, I was watching, because I never was a Fox News watcher. I always watched it. I always watched CNN. But yeah, the media is the biggest propaganda. They will push fear on you. And even these local news outlets, newspapers. Look how they made the article that Donald Trump was taking 600,000 kids off welfare. But then when you go read the article, it's saying it's not affecting people that got kids. It's only for able-bodied people. But why are y'all pushing the narrative as if you're taking off 600,000? Like, why is this even in your title?
I tell people, got in so many arguments over this, and I was just asking people, what is wrong with what he's saying? It's able bodies, so you don't have any disabilities, you don't have any of that stuff, and he isn't kicking you off. He's just saying you have to have some kind of work requirement. If you don't have the work requirement, then you get kicked off.
They do that with public housing and welfare. If you don't have no job in public housing, like this CMHA, public housing, you have to do 30 hours of community service. Right. For 30 hours a week of community service. What is the difference from that with welfare? Like, able-bodied. And welfare is not for you to just sit down and just live off welfare for the rest of your life. If you able-bodied, this is telling you, okay, go to school. Even if you put in applications, you know what I'm saying? It's for you to get up off of it, not sit there. But what did y'all talk about kids for? No kids are infected. Nobody that has kids, this is not them. Well, you should have, if they mama able-bodied, you can't, in my opinion. I think you would have even took it with the ones with the kids, huh? Yeah, because if you can work, we ain't talking about elderly, we ain't talking about disability, but some people with kids, that don't mean that you can't work. That's true. Why would they work when you getting all the free food stamps and then you get to live in public housing? Why? What?
And see, this
I
is
think welfare should come with an individual plan with the person to wean them off, not just give them welfare and tell them they got to come sign up every 6 months. It's nothing in the welfare plan.
Now, wow. See, that's a good policy right there. See, this is why I've been wanting her to run for city council, y'all. But that's a good policy right there. Everybody gets an individual plan, and then we should be working you off of this. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So let me ask you a couple more questions. The Republican Party, right? With all the good stuff that they have, all the good policy stuff that they have, and knowing that a lot of people, if you don't talk about, if you take out the word Republican, you take out conservative, if I was just having a conversation with somebody, they would actually agree with most of the stuff I say, but yet there's a disconnect. What do you think the disconnect is between the Republican Party and reaching out to urban communities, Black folk, Latinos, and others?
Because for one, you have been told all your life about this one party. Then for two, you have them that's lacking on reaching out to these people. Because one thing I have noticed, and I have talked to top Republicans, they all mostly are about statistics. So if this area mainly vote this way on high rate, they won't even deal with it. But see, that's where if you are a Republican and you join these committees, that's what you make the directive. Because if you don't even try to attempt to get this, Trump is the reason why a lot of people are coming over there to that part, not because of y'all. But
he's single-handedly doing this, right?
Yeah, but you gotta not be afraid and go join this party and go join these committees, and you be the one that changed in your community, because it's gonna have to be a change. People are like, well, what they giving out? And it's just like, listen, you gotta go implement this type of stuff, and that's they disconnect. Like they don't try because in their minds they primarily vote Democrats, so they're not even gonna try. And then another thing I don't like that they're doing, and hopefully it'll be a change, but now I have a voice in the party, I can implement those things, is candidates that's running in these districts that's primarily Democrat. If you come with some good issues, some good policies, some good community work, like I'm about to be doing some stuff with the Trump campaign. I told them only how I'm gonna do this with you all if we ever be able to do some stuff that's gonna change. No, I'm not gonna be out there to talk about how much I hate Democrats and none of that. I don't got time for that. I'm not gonna be the black face for that. I'm not gonna be the black face to talk about my people either. But if we gonna hold some events, it's gonna be events to help them. So that's another thing I'm doing with them. So you gotta buzz up in there and change some things. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They lack on that. Go help some of these local people that's running. That's a Republican and this stuff to change. Even if it is, y'all got enough money to switch it around. The Republican Party is loaded on the campaign money side. It ain't gonna kill you to get some of these local candidates $200,000 to run, to do ads and different stuff like that to help. Like, how you think you're gonna ever change if you don't try? So what if the statistics high? That's the part of you going to change the people's mind. Yeah. But you never go in the community to change the people's mind.
Yeah, I never liked that. Like you said, we secede the ground. We just assume they're not going to vote. And half these people that run, especially at the local level, they go uncontested. Like people, they don't even put a face up sometimes to go against some of these people. And it's like, well, you have to go in and fight. You have to try to take back. And also this helps to actually change your image too. Because when you say, I'm not going to go into that community, then whoever is there gets to tell you about the other people. You never get to go in and defend yourself. No Republican is there saying, look at what we're doing. So when they say we don't care, look at what we're doing. We can show you we care. Well, if I'm not there, when they say they don't care, I'm not there to say I do care. I'm not there to show you anything. So who are they going to believe? They're going to believe those people. Yeah, they definitely need to do something better with that. Now, finally, I will say this. You said you are saying that, this is what I want to say also. We have to be careful, because Trump is putting all this stuff on his back, and a lot of people are you said a lot of black people are going to vote for Trump. A lot of this, everybody's depending on Trump. Well, Trump, even if he wins, he only gets 4 more years. You got to think, people got to start thinking about the long term. You know, even some of our conservatives, we building all of our whole situation on Trump. We got all of our businesses is built around Trump. We got everything built around Trump.
Half of them gonna be gone November 7th. They're gonna be out the door November 7th. This is just tactics that go on both sides. We just need y'all for a minute, and after that, y'all gone. I would never build my business off any politician. Like like you said, he only gonna get 4 more years. Then what you gonna do? You separated and idolize your whole business off one man. What are you gonna do when because a lot of people ain't gonna tolerate a lot of this stuff once Trump gone. But if you got a good foundation and doing the things that you're supposed to do, then you gonna still be in the game.
That's right.
A lot of these people, it's easy for me to get in the game. All I gotta do is go enter social media and just say something off the wall. Then I'm the next black person on either side. I can be on the Democrat side, come out and act like I'm so stressed out about Donald Trump, then I'm gonna get all this feed. Then I can go on the Republican side and act like I'm a mega superstar and act like, and then
if you said, hey, I no longer support Trump. Trump sucks, right? Then you can make a whole lot of money. I used to be a former Trump supporter, right? And you can still be a Trump supporter and just be like, I'm playing this, give me some cash. I'm still going to vote for Trump. And, but, like this stuff is, you can't build your movement, your business, and anything on an actual politician. And the goal should be the long term of trying to change a community based on these principles. If it's based on these conservative principles, then it doesn't matter who's actually in the White House. It doesn't matter. It's the principles themselves that we're promoting. And so we have to definitely get into those places. And I think that we're scared to go in those places. And this is why I think, even though I'm not into identity politics per se, I do think it matters because of how the media has portrayed everything. I do think it matters when people look up and see somebody that looks like them, right? Not because that makes a person better at what they do, but because we've been trained. And when you see a party that is a little bit diverse, it kind of lets your guard down. You know what I mean? One of the things that when you come from being a Democrat and then you go to your first Republican meeting and everybody in there is white and you're the only black person in there, it's a little shell shock. You know what I mean? That happens. And so I think if we were doing a better job in those communities, then it'll be easier with the message, because it'd be like, look, we there right with you. You know what I mean? We have the same kind of outreach things. We feed people too. We have these nonprofits as well, in the community. And then it gives people an actual choice instead of this is the only person I know because y'all ain't around. And then all we got to go off of is Roland Martin. You know what I'm saying? All we got to go off is Roland Martin and CNN.
And that's why you have to join your local party. Every state, county has their own local party. And that's where you come in and be the voice for that. Because that's
Absolutely.
what my voice is. They know this off top.
I just joined my local one as well. Yep.
And they know this. Like, okay, summertime coming up, we gonna have to start doing some stuff, rounding it up. They know this stuff already. Yeah,
I ran into the same situation with my local chapter right before the last November 19, the local election. They were talking about, oh yeah, we gotta really, because it's not a presidential year, people are going to sit home. So all we're going to have to do is, make sure all of our registered people get out to vote, and we may be able to sneak one in because I'm in a Democrat area. And I'm like, you guys are so looking at the short term. You're going to have to go and get more voters. You know what I mean? We already have a deficit when you talk about people, how they're registered. You're going to have to get more voters. So you're going to have to go to places that people aren't already on your side. Right. So Talessia, before we go, I want you to, if you have any other events or anything going on, put that out there and put your social media. How can people get in contact with you? Well, we having a Martin Luther King thing coming up in Ohio. If you're in the Cuyahoga County area, about
getting your record expunged if it's over 10 years old, a few other qualifications, but it's not that bad of a qualification. You can come out. It's at the Caramel House at 8:30 a.m. because we're doing something before then at 7:30. So yeah, 8:30 a.m. And you can subscribe to me on YouTube. It's Street Politics with Talessia, and I'm Street Politics with Talessia on Facebook and Instagram. But on Twitter is SPW Talessia.
Awesome.
Just follow me. And thank you for having me on.
No problem. And you just started some weekly Sunday thing, right? You're starting to do?
Yeah. It's I'm gonna have a weekly show. It's called Make It Make Sense. It'll be streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope. It's basically going to recap over the latest stuff that done happened in the political world that week. So whatever's the hot topics in the week, we'll be on it. Then I'll be having special guests. They'll be, joining time and time. And then during the week, like when I have different people on that's running for candidates or people that's doing different stuff, it's called the hot seat. That's not a specific day. That'll be where some people come on and tell us about their campaign running or they're a politician or some of the stuff that they're doing in their local community.
Awesome. And you're doing that Make It Make Sense. Is that you'll be on every Sunday starting now, right?
Every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
7 p.m.?
Tomorrow. Yep. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Awesome. We'll be sure to support you in all your endeavors, and I appreciate you. And again, this is you are definitely one of my favorite YouTubers. Even if you're just sitting in the car, your commentary is just down to earth and real. And so I appreciate the time that you spent with me. And I'm definitely still going to be supporting you with your lives and anytime you have your guests on during the week and stuff like that. Definitely you're going to be getting my support. And one day when you decide to get into politics on a local level, definitely I'm going to be pushing you out there. And before you make your millions, make sure you don't forget about the little folk over here. All right.
The first is always remembered.
Awesome. All right, people. That's one more down in the books. We will see you next week. This has been a good episode. Hope you guys follow her on all of her social media outlets. And you've been listening to the Invisible Black Elephants podcast. Peace out. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. Please subscribe via the major podcasting providers. Also, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow us on our social media platforms. For more information about the podcast or to schedule interviews, please email invisibleblackelephants@gmail.com. God bless and see you next time.